Hello and welcome, guys, to the second edition of the Driver's Seat, interactive space al fresco, where we can just sit down, have a chat with interesting individuals who want to tell us their story. Today we have Dr. Shahrol. He's the president and co-founder of My EVOC, or can I say My
That's right.
Evoc? Right?
Yes, correct.
So My Evoc, from what I understand, is it's a pioneering owners group of EV cars. There are some hybrids, from what I understand, and you guys are furthering the agenda, or the I would say the whole ownership experience of
Yes.
having an EV.
Yes.
Right? And would you care to elaborate on how?
Of course, yes.
When
We started the group in 2019, actually, only last year. It's just over a year old. Because a small group of us EV owners, we saw that in Malaysia especially, there's a lot of opinions and voices representing the government, representing the industry, car industry, electricity industry, but there is not a lot of organized voices that are coming from the user's perspective.
From the consumers themselves.
Absolutely. So in terms of our difficulties, let's say in finding charging spots, in paying for electricity, in the expensive taxes that we are hit with for imported EVs, and all those issues are not getting, I believe, or we believed at the time, a fair hearing. That's why we set up the club.
I see. So it started off as a small organization, but you had a purpose in that sense.
Yes.
So yes, you guys do cool stuff that any other car group, or call it a collection of owners would do, but it's also with the purpose of educating the general public,
and
or having
advocacy, I would say. Advocacy for
yes.
seeing more EVs on the road in Malaysia, dispelling some of the myths that we always hear. For example, oh lama, the battery cannot tahan in this climate.
I see. Yes, we do get that a lot, and I suppose the internet is is no kind place to be in.
And so this partially, what are the things that our members try and do is actually that we try and educate. And so the typical story that we hear is our members, when they are charging the car, let's say at the Petronas, and there's always one or two curious people, berapa lama nak charge? And this one, berapa harga dia? And so on and so forth. So we engage people who are interested, and hopefully educate, create awareness of the benefits, and also we are also honest about what are the shortcomings. For example, in Malaysia, you want to travel outstation, requires a lot of planning.
A lot of, it's not as simple as just getting in your car,
up and go, yes,
with a full charge, as it were, but you do need to plan the journey.
Where you can charge, and what's your backup plan in case some guy go and park their car in front of the charger, you cannot access it.
So it's yes, one is to make aware, and the other is to, I suppose, enjoy the cars as they are, right? So I understand that you have a Tesla Model S.
Correct. Which is not this one.
Which is not this one yet. This is a 330e, so also a hybrid.
Yes.
And one of the best, in my opinion, in terms of having a very good setup and its performance.
It's a very good balance.
Very good balance of efficiency and performance, right? So we also know that you were among the first few Malaysians to drive the Porsche Taycan.
Yes,
it's a car that has everybody. It's one of the coolest Porsches to ever come out. Definitely one of the best looking, and the fact that they've made it not even a hybrid, made it an EV.
Yes.
How was that? I was told you took a long journey to Penang. So how was that?
So Porsche was kind enough to lend me a Taycan 4S, which is actually the quote-unquote cheapest version that they have for sale here.
Exactly, because they have the turbo and the Turbo S, right?
But still, that thing is over 500 horsepower. So they allowed me to keep it for 2 nights, mostly I think because I had offered it to them previously in terms of just demonstrating the fact that you don't have to worry too much about driving an EV, especially a long distance EV such as the Taycan, long distance.
Yeah.
So I took it to a number of places actually. The first night I had it, I went to Aikaro, Melaka to test out the brand new rapid charging station over there.
Alright.
And then I turned around. The next day, I drove all the way to Penang and back on the same day.
Whoa. Wait, that's about 360
About
km one
it's
way?
351 kilometers from where I set out with 99% charge in KL.
Alright.
And it's another 340 odd kilometers from Porsche Center Penang to Porsche Center Arah Damansara. So about 700 kilometers, more or
On
less.
a single charge?
Oh no, so I had to charge in Penang.
So when you reached Porsche Penang, you charged the car, was it back up to
Yes.
90%?
So to summarize the trip, I left KL with 99% in the morning.
Alright.
Drove all the way up to Porsche Center Penang.
Okay.
Reached there with 12%.
Right.
Charged it up. It would have taken only about 20 minutes to get to 80%
Okay.
because it's a very fantastic rapid charger over there, 175 kilowatts. But I had spent a little bit of time to relax, had lunch, had coffee with the Porsche Center dealer principal over there. Left Penang with about 97%.
Alright.
I reached Porsche Arah Damansara with 10%.
Alright.
And that was pretty much like it was raining all the way through Perak
Alright.
and massive traffic jam on the NKVE.
On the way into
way
KL.
into Arah. So I think this dispels two of the things that a lot of people think about EVs in the sense, oh, kalau traffic jam then mati. You know,
Mati,
it's a bit like, because when you have a combustion car, the engine is still running.
Yep.
So no matter what, you need your aircon, the engine is still running, still consuming fuel. And so if you're sitting in traffic for an hour, you can actually feel your minyak is running low.
Yeah.
Whereas in an EV, the motor is not running and the motor is the one that takes up the most power.
Yes.
So
correct.
your air conditioning system actually doesn't take up all that much.
Right.
So for example, the Tesla even has this thing, what they call a camp mode,
Okay.
where owners would actually take the cars, put a mattress in the back and tidur overnight with the climate running.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, and so the aircon would run and then the battery would hardly go down. So Tesla even has something where you flip through the climate control camp mode. So memang it's set up for that.
So it just gets to a certain temperature and then it just maintains
so your
it
aircon pretty
throughout
much
the night.
runs, right? And the battery is big enough and the air conditioning system is efficient enough such that it will run for days without really running down the battery.
Depleting itself.
Yeah.
So basically, I would understand it would run the electrical compressor, maybe some of the electrics, lighting in the car, but that's it, right?
Yep.
And those things, yeah, they wouldn't really consume.
And the battery is enormous, right? So for example, the Taycan that I drove to Penang and back had even the smaller battery pack, which is 79 kilowatt hours.
Right.
They have a bigger one, which is 80 something, close to 90,
Okay.
which gives it a range of 350. So the funny story about that is actually in the morning when I left the house, I took a picture of the range 350. So I sent it to our My Evolve WhatsApp group. Boleh sampai ke tidak? And interestingly, a lot of them are worried I cannot make it because of the fact that this is the second part lah. Speed when you exceed, let's say the speed limit 110, 130, the faster you go, the more the battery is consumed. It's the same as any ICE car actually, right?
Yeah.
But it's more pronounced in an EV because, of course, the energy that is contained in the, let's say, 79 kilowatt hour battery, guess how many liters of petrol that is equivalent to?
Oh, the power density of
the energy is contained.
I've seen something like this on YouTube. I think it was, well, I can't remember what battery it
So
was.
basically, the rule of thumb is 1 liter of petrol has about 10 to 11 kilowatt hours of energy.
10 to 11 kilowatts.
So
of
really,
energy.
right,
Okay,
in the
understand.
Taycan, the battery pack contains only up to like 8 liters of petrol.
Wow.
If you look at the
If
energy
you convert
density,
it to energy,
pure energy lah.
Yeah.
Right? So 8 liters only, to travel all the way up to Penang, 350 kilometers. So that is also why actually like any little chip of efficiency that is going to affect the range is very pronounced, much more pronounced in an EV because you're already starting out with a very small tank.
Small,
right?
yeah.
And so a little bit only, boom, you can rasa the thing percentage-wise go down a lot.
Like literally 2 big cooking oil bottles, and that's
Exactly.
all you need to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to get into that, but like how was how did you drive there? I mean, did you were there bouts of maybe going at the speed limit? Was there? You mentioned a big traffic jam and rain and all that on the way back. So of course, rolling resistance goes
Yep.
up in the rain, and you've mentioned that previously that
Yep.
it takes up a lot more energy.
Yep.
And now you're saying it chips away when you do. I suppose. So every little bit of
Correct.
acceleration or
Yep.
overtaking,
Yep.
it will affect the overall range.
Yeah, for the Taycan specifically, when I compare with my Tesla, high speed runs in the Taycan, I believe at least subjectively, is slightly more efficient because it has this unique 2-speed transmission in the back.
Right.
So it uses the low gear for low speed and the
Right.
high gear for high speed. So it
Okay.
helps a little bit. When I drove from KL to Penang, I because I know that the range says 350, I have 351 kilometers to go, I better keep it a light foot. But
Right.
but I didn't really go that slowly. I maintained like 110, 120 along the range, and sometimes when I needed to overtake, you tekan a little bit.
Right.
And of course, the car is superb at those
it's still a Porsche, right?
Exactly that. It's a Porsche first, and as a high-speed cruiser, it is super duper composed and comfortable.
Right.
Especially in the morning when it was hot, it was sunny, it was dry. So going up north, I had just maintained basically like the traffic speed limit, maintain the speed of traffic, and obeyed the speed limit most of the time, 110, 115, and sometimes I just set the cruise control to 120 when it's clear. And when I got to like maybe 2/3 of the way, I saw that the range is more than adequate to get there. And then I started to go faster a little bit.
Right.
But then boom, I hit traffic.
Right.
So it's like 80, 90, 80, 90. So in real life, to be honest, it's actually that, if you're not really about to set your personal speed record up north or whatever it is,
Right.
Even the smaller battery pack Taycan is good enough for
adequate,
you, for you to get there. I mean, but having said that, is actually like I was chatting with some of the Porsche guys afterwards lah. It's like I mean, people who own these cars actually would like to stretch
the legs,
the
right?
legs of the car a little bit, and so ideally you would have at least one, probably 2 places where you can stop and also rapidly top up. I mean, you can go for like a biological break. You drive up to the charger, you plug it in. Then you go to the toilet and you come back. By the time you're done, about 10-15 minutes, you would have easily added maybe another 150 to 200 kilometers of range to the car. And so then that would allow you to be more flexible with your right foot.
And or at least have a little bit more fun along the way.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, like when you mentioned that you started up the car in the morning and started up the car, it said 350. Were you you were not that optimistic at the time, or maybe you were thinking, okay, I got to play this a bit safe, but it also has brake energy regeneration. Right?
Correct.
So you've got going up north, you've got bouts of a lot of downhill and all that. And does that did that help along the way? Do you?
That's actually a very good point, Arvind, because one thing, because I've been driving a full EV essentially for the last 3.5 years,
Right.
and so what I've noticed is actually that when you have brake recuperation, it works very well in the city when you do a lot of stop and go.
Right.
But on the highways, when you try and maintain the same speed, there's more efficiency to be gained if you turn the regen down to low. So you coast a lot more, right? And so that's what I did. And setting out, I was actually quite confident that I can get there, to be honest, because I felt that the 350 is quite conservative. I'm experienced enough in driving an EV long distance to know how to manage the energy.
Correct.
And the fun part is actually when you get around Ipoh, when you go up and down the hill.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that after the Menora Tunnel, right?
Yes.
You got that long.
The Porsche, the Taycan actually has a button on the steering that actually you can change the regeneration level to high or low, essentially.
Right.
So the fun part is actually like when you are going down, you don't even have have to touch the brakes. You just set the regen to high, and
Right.
then the energy will go back into the batteries. It will
Right.
slow the car down. And the way that it slows the car down is so confidence inspiring because it's all four wheels. There's no way it's going to lose grip or lock up because it's all very gentle, feeding back into the battery.
Into the batteries, yeah.
And so on the way there, I was getting used to how much it is. So and on the way back, I've gotten more familiar with how much slowing down it does just by pressing the button.
Just by
I'm
doing
using that rather than the brakes whenever I approach a slow moving car in front, and so I just press. I know when to press the button and when to press the button again to switch it off,
Right.
such that I will slow down enough. Don't waste the energy into heat on the brakes.
Right.
Pump it back into the battery. And so it's one of those things when you're driving an EV that you learn to be very conscious about energy conservation, and geeks like me, we are very happy with that.
Right. It almost sounds like playing a video game, you know. So
Yes,
they're changing, so
yes.
so it was like what you're saying is when the brake regen goes up, so the car starts. It's more like engine braking.
Yes,
if you will,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, Porsche engineered it to feel more like that than the Tesla.
Right.